Hello and welcome to your favorite show that features the brightest minds in Nigeria's creative industry. This is the Camera Lounge Season 2 and it's proudly brought to you by Camera Joint, Nigeria's #1 camera store. I'm Kayode Alayande, your host. You have a chance to win a Sony Alpha 7 IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Bigh Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention a creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria and produced by Bigh Productions. Don't miss it. Today we are speaking with a very distinguished portrait, fine art and wedding photographer. Over the last 11 years, he has built a very strong and successful photography brand out of the city of Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and leads a team of highly skilled professionals. Now, given his bias for excellence, he's had the opportunity to work with a very huge portfolio of very high net worth individuals and clients, not just here in Nigeria, but across the world. We are not surprised at all that he is a Sony Alpha collaborator, but more importantly, he is highly respected within the industry, not just for his many accomplishments, but for his very strong sense of leadership, humility, and value for people. He is a very fantastic teacher and convener of the annual Follow the Light Master classes. I know many of you will know who I'm talking about right now. I'm excited to introduce to you and bring into our platform here at the Camera Lounge Season 2, the executive producer, director of Big H Studios, Abuja, and that is Henry Oji, the Big H himself.
Nice to meet you, sir. I'm not the executive producer.
That is good. I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thanks for sharing your time with us. This has been long in coming, but we're happy that we're here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Can you, let's sort of try to begin and make it a chronological journey.
Okay.
Give us a sense of your background, your upbringing, your childhood, especially with a sense of, you know, what brought about the Henry Oji, the Big H that we know today.
Sometimes I like to say that there's a difference between Henry Oji and Big H.
There must be.
Yeah, there is. There's a big difference. I'll try and answer your question with a story that I like to share. I'm the first child in a family of 7. I remember coming back from school. Every time I come back from school, I would pick up my art book and start to draw. So then we were supposed to replicate pictures that we had seen on the book. I wouldn't do my mathematics homework, I wouldn't do my English homework, I wouldn't do anything, I would just be drawing. And I remember my mom would bring slippers and flog me and say, go and do your homework, artists don't make money, go and do your homework, artists don't make money. And I think that maybe those were some of the early signs that I was drawn to art. There was nothing else in my life or career that showed that I would one day become a photographer. My parents, like every typical Nigerian parent, wanted me to read medicine. So it's either you want to read medicine or law or engineering. That's like the, you understand, the main thing with Nigerian homes, exactly. The problem with that is that most of the time as parents, we don't check to see if this is really what the person wants to do. Sometimes parents can take selfish decisions because they want, when they're talking amongst their peers, they're like, oh yeah, my son is a doctor.
I want you to give us a sense of the social background, whether it's middle class, upper class, you know. Okay. Give us that sense.
I was born into a very comfortable family. My father, late Chief Oji ran a construction company, engineering construction company. Never, thank God, he put us in the best schools. My parents put us in the best schools. I started from Maipa Nursery School to FET Staff School, Mina. So we were born in Niger State, Mina, and then I went to FGC before going to King's College. So, I mean, I don't know how to put it in class, upper, lower, I don't know where it falls under, but we were comfortable. We went to good schools, we had 3 square meals, you know. My parents always wanted the best for each and every one of us. And I am happy. I feel like we got the best training, you understand. I come from a Christian background. So my family, my parents are big on character. Character over skill, character over talent every time. One story stands out. I remember very vividly well when my sister came back from school. She came second in class, and you know, I was coming back from school with my brother at the time, and I was like 47th out of 48 or something like that.
You're doing well.
No, that was poor. I was literally the last person, or second to the last person, you know. And I remember vividly well coming into the house with my results, which I tried to change, by the way, because I kept on asking people for red pen. I wanted to remove the 4, so that only 7 would show, you understand? But, you know, all to no avail. Came home and we were on a line. So everybody was presenting their results and my sister was going first. She presented her result and we were all excited for her that she came second. What we didn't understand was why my father was still flogging her, because of what? If he was flogging someone who came second, what would they do to me?
Then you must be dead.
Exactly. So I'll tell you what happened. They wrote on her result card, they said, Oluchi is extremely brilliant, but she talks too much in class. So that she talks too much in class was something that he didn't find funny, because my father was never about being good in academics. He wanted your character to also go. So you can come 10th in class, or maybe 20th, and then if they said he's the best behaved, he's happy with that. You understand? So we just felt like, okay, if they're flogging her for second, we were dead. You understand? That's the kind of family I came from, and I think that it has also formed 100% into the person that I am today.
Great. So let's go to that story. Okay. For the benefit of those who have not researched you properly, because I know it's impossible to have researched you and not have read or heard that story. But very quickly, tell us that story and then how you eventually started.
December 19th, 2011. Traveled for my honeymoon and I was able to save some change. You understand? And I was coming back to start life as a newly married guy. So every change you get is very, very important. So imagine my expression when my wife said to me that, oh, she wants to buy these designer glasses. I asked her how much is it. She said $400. And why am I spending $400 on glasses? As a young guy, you understand, I knew the value of that money, and I still do. And then dollar was 160, and it was still a lot of money for me at the time. Well, I said, okay, since you're going to get a gift for yourself, I'll get a gift for myself as well. Okay. So I gave her $400 to get her glasses. I'm very prudent when it comes to expenses. I always want money to go into the right things. I'm not a very frivolous person, so it didn't make sense to me why somebody would want to buy glasses for $400. But forgive me, that's just the way I am. So I walked around duty free trying to get a gift, and then I saw a store. and I saw this camera. I can't mention the brand, but yeah, I saw a camera there. And got the camera as a gift for myself, and I wanted to be that guy who would go to different weddings, different events with a camera. I didn't want people to see me as the guy who walks into an event with a big iPad. It used to be a thing at the time. Our uncles would go for weddings with iPads and give me space, let me take a shot. You understand? There was no intention to be a photographer. I just wanted it to be a part of my journey, documenting my friends' weddings when I go for events. Do you understand? And what was just a desire to get a camera became an interest, and then from interest it moved to a strong interest, and you know, we're where we are today. So I credit my wife a lot for this journey, because I think that if I didn't get married to her, we didn't go on that trip, she didn't make that $400 request, I wouldn't have discovered the camera, and I probably would still be in my 9 to 5 by now. But yeah, so
yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned 9 to 5, because I was coming there. You had a very stable professional background. Let's talk about that. And I like to discuss conflicts. Did you have conflicts switching professions?
Yes. I had a lot of conflicts. I had a very good job. I studied international business in school. I think I excelled at it. But I don't think I was working in that company because I excelled at my business, or sorry, my education. It was my father's company. My father had passed, so I think it was really natural for me to migrate into the work. I started working with my mom at the time. I still do to a certain extent. When I say I still do, very minimal work, you understand? Maybe on the board, they ask questions and you're supposed to support or contribute in any kind of way. But I'm not required to be there every day. So switching was tough. My folks back home started to see that this guy had interest in photography. Photography is better now than what it used to be 11 years ago, 10 years ago when I started. Because I remember that my mom's friends would always meet my mom and say, oh yeah, we saw your son. He was lying down on the floor taking pictures. Is everything okay? Do you understand? Is it all well? Because there's a tendency to believe that because his father is late, things are not really working and he's trying out different things. It had nothing to do with that. And I remember my mom would always come and say to me, what is the matter? Why do you have to lie down? Can't you get other people to do it for you? And all of that. The good thing about it is that today, you know, she comes to say, oh, I heard them talking about you. And I said, oh, I'm Biggie's mother.
Correct.
And before, she used to be like, why do you have to do this? But she's been extremely supportive over the years, but it hasn't always been like that. I think that at some point, parents would always feel like what they have planned out for you is best for you. We have to believe in this work long enough to be able to win over the people that doubt us. And at every time where people said, don't do this, it kind of just spurred me to continue to do it. And by God's special grace, they started to see that this is really what he wants to do. I remember my brother saying that you are really passionate about this. This is what you are born to do. You somehow found what you're supposed to do. And when people find what they're supposed to do, you don't frustrate them to do it. You just somehow encourage them to do it.
Great. It's that time where we take a short break on the program. When we come back, I'm going to be asking Big H what steps he took the moment he decided that, look, I'm going to do this. If you want to hear that, it will be after the break. Don't go away. Okay, I'm with my best friend. I'm sure you guys know already. My best friends are always the Sony cameras, and this is the A7R5, recently just dropped by Sony Alpha. It's a 60 megapixel camera, and you know my favorite thing about the Sony is the autofocus system. It has an improved autofocus recognition. You can actually save, you know, the subject's face on the camera, and then it follows through. Anywhere the subject goes through, your focus is intact. You know, in terms of video,
It has 8K at 24p and then it shoots 4K at 60p. The videos are amazing. I call it a hybrid master because you can actually use it for photography and video at the same time. It shoots 10-bit 422 video options and also includes S-Log3 and Cinetone. It's a very easy way of shooting and getting your images ready for your client. And then in terms of raw files, because I know you're going to be saying it's a 60 megapixels, in terms of raw files, you can actually reduce it and have 26 megapixels and also have 15 megapixels. My best friend is the Sony A7IV. In terms of technology, it's a great camera. In terms of build quality, it's amazing. Ergonomics is amazing. The way, you know, the grip is, it's quite very sturdy and all. Sony camera is my best option. I don't know about you.
Welcome back to the Camera Lounge Season 2, and I have been speaking with Bigh. He says I've been giving him too many titles, but, but it's okay. Now, I realized that it's not everyone who stepped out to pursue their dreams that eventually succeed. And it's not in all cases because it wasn't meant to be their dream, but perhaps they didn't get the right exposure at that time, or they didn't take the right steps, even though they're on the right track. What steps did you take when you realized that, look, this is what I want to do? I'm not going to run my father's business. Here's it. So what did you do? One
of the first things is to understand that your 9 to 5 or whatever it is that you're doing at the time, no matter how palatable, no matter how sweet, no matter how comfortable it is, you have to be dogged about your approach to pursuing your dreams. Sometimes in pursuing your dreams, you can't see what the future is like. You just know that it's a dream. We didn't see that we would be here 11 years ago, but we just know that this is what we're supposed to do. This is where we would find the most fulfillment. So the first thing is that you have to close your ears from all doubts. And these doubts can also come from within, not necessarily from people, you understand? Or before that, trust that it comes from God. I'm very big on God, and I'm going to get back to that in some of the things that has helped me over the years. If you have a dream or you have a desire, whatever it is that you're doing, and it's come from God, number one. Number two, make sure that you're not listening to any other person, even yourself, because sometimes when you listen to yourself, you start to check your account balance. You start to check whether people are accepting of what you're doing. You start to check so many different things, you understand? And for me, it was really a struggle. It's not something I share all the time, so I'm just going to share it here. You know, I remember going for weddings and I used to hide. I used to hide because I was seeing my father's friends, my late father's friends, who were maybe governors and business executives, and I felt like they were looking at me like I had failed my father. You understand? Because I felt like they wanted me to be the CEO or the person who pushes and pioneers the company. And for a long time, it kind of just played in my head that I had actually failed. And sometimes these thoughts will come in when you feel like you're not doing so well in this work. And sometimes you feel like, should I just go back, you understand, and just sit down on a fancy chair and answer boss? Both of them requires work regardless, you understand? I remember notably at a wedding that I was in Kano, I saw, I think 2 or 3 of them. I couldn't go to them, which is what I would normally do, because I felt like they would see me with a camera and they'll be so disappointed, you understand? But over time, I started to own my truth. I started to own my reality. This is my life. This is my reality. This is what I'm doing. This is what puts food on my table. This is what God has placed in my hands to do, and He has blessed me with it. So you have to somehow ignore all those doubts coming from people, the doubts coming from within, and then chase your dream.
What did you do to strengthen your craft? I guess you already had business acumen and exposure. So to strengthen that craft, what did you do? Who did you go to? What schools did you attend?
I said earlier that I studied international business. What I don't know is how much of that played a role in what I'm currently doing. What I would say is that the time that I worked with my mom in my 9 to 5 played a big role, because there's an experience that I got from there with working with so many different executives, elite people. It kind of just positioned me on how to relate to the people that I'm working with now. You understand? You can be timid when you meet these people. You understand? But when you feel like, I've been there, I've been prepared for this. So I feel like my 9 to 5 also prepared me for this. My relationship with my father was my friend. Everything about life he taught me. That also prepared me for where I am today. So certain qualities like absolute trust in God, other qualities like my father's favorite statements where he says hard work never kills anybody. With this work, you have to be extremely hardworking. You understand? You know, I was just sharing with you just before the interview started. We've been working back to back to back to back. Nobody's going to put success on the table for you. You have to go out of your comfort zone and get it. You understand? You have to make sure that you are almost the hardest worker in the room, even though you are not the hardest worker in the room, but you have to work extremely hard. But most importantly, don't depend on your hard work. I know it's sounding like I'm
like an oxymoron.
Yes, exactly. Yes. But don't depend on your hard work, because there is a place that hard work will not take you. Favor will take you there. Grace will take you there. You understand? But we also need to work hard. You understand? But when in working hard, we need to trust God. We need to trust that He can take the works of our hands and blesses the works of our hand. If there is no work of your hand, then there is no blessing for the work of your hand. You understand? So, and then the third thing is one I also learned from my father: building sustainable relationships, seeing people not as paychecks but human beings, as real life people. So it's been one thing that I know that has stood out for me in the last 11 years, which is that everybody is important, every client is important, everybody that you work with is important. You will not be friends with everybody, but as much as possible, be human, be kind. You understand? Reach out to them on days where you're not necessarily working for them. When a client is pregnant or gives birth, go to the house and give a gift or something. We shouldn't build our business on, oh, this person is always coming to so. When it's Ramadan or Salah, buy ram and give them. You understand? When it's Christmas, buy hampers and give them. They like these things. You understand? So I feel like over the years, sustainable relationships is one of the things that has helped me. I learned this also from a lady, I don't remember her name, but she said that she went to the best Ivy League schools. In her field, she's among the top 3, top 5. There's nobody better than her. But that she found out that to get to the next level, she needed somebody in the room to mention her name. Because in that room, it wasn't about the most qualified, she was the most qualified. And there were 4 other people that were the most qualified. But she just needed somebody to say, oh, Bigh can do this. Henry can do this. And in that room, for your name to be mentioned there, you need to have built relationships with people. You understand? And I feel like there are times where we work and we have new clients. There are other times where we work and we have returning clients. And these returning clients are coming back because they feel like, why would I rather go to so person when I have a relationship with this person? So trust in God, hard work, sustainable relationships, those are 3 things that I think I have focused on in the last 11 years.
So listening to you over the last about 20 minutes, I hear character, strong sense of character, fear of God, trust in God, and stuff like that. But these things get challenged in the day-to-day running of your business. Have you had times where you turned down maybe juicy opportunities?
Oh yes, there's one that happened last week.
Can you share?
I would gladly share without mentioning.
That's fine.
The name.
Yeah.
I would gladly share. And I'm happy that you mentioned that, because in this field of work, your character is always going to be tested, especially when you project that you have integrity and this is how you want to run your business. Bible says that a good name is worth more than many riches. So it is better for me to live with a good name than too many riches. And of course, we want to be rich, we want to be comfortable, we want to be financially stable. But I don't want to do that at the expense of my name, at the expense of my faith, at the expense of the character. You understand? Because these are the things that are important. And let me go back to the story. I got a call. First of all, it started with an email. You know, you always know when you get a proper commercial job. It was a big commercial job. You understand? And, you know, he had all the fancy English and everything. And it got to the point where we had sent an invoice. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the amount.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. The invoice was about 9 million. 9 million. But I had already committed to teaching or speaking on the panel for TEXA. Now, TEXA is the event Experience Africa, run by Antifunke Bucknor. And they reached out to me last year and they said, we wanted you to be on the panel. And I said, no problem. So I gave them my word that I will be there, and they fixed the date, and the date is 18th of this month. And then the job said, we want you to shoot in Abuja on the 17th. I said, it's not going to be possible because on the 17th, I have to be flying to Texas. I had sent in an invoice. Approval has been given. You understand? We're just working on the modalities for you to do the job. At the end of the job, you go home with 8 M, and I'm literally going to be working for 1 day. I said to them, I'm sorry, can I propose a new date? Because I have to be in Lagos for Texas. They said, we don't have a new date. Yada, 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 yada. Why do you have to travel? I said, I'm going for Texas. They said, oh yeah, we know the person convening Texas. We'll tell her to take you off the panel because we need you to do the shoot. I said, you will do no such thing. I immediately got off the phone, called Texas, and I said, if anybody calls you, take my name off the panel. I did not send them. Texas was willing to take me off the panel because they felt like this was too big a job for me to turn down. And it was painful. I cried. I'm not even going to lie to you, because sometimes when your integrity is going to test you, it will hurt you. And I actually legit cried tears, because it wasn't just the money, it was also the profile of the job. It was what I knew would come out of it. And it was like, all the years that I've put into this work, these are the opportunities we prayed for. And this has come at my doorstep, and I'm having to walk away from it because I don't want to be that guy who got a better offer and turned down an already established booking. Texas isn't paying me. It's not a paid job. Do you understand? It's that I have committed to be there. And then you have that commitment, and then you have 9 million naira, and then someone's going to say, Bigh, you have 9 million. It has nothing to do with that. I have never charged a client 9 million naira in my entire career to do a work. So on every level, this was the biggest job of my career. So it was painful. When I got the message, when they said to me, we will no longer be working with you. We cannot change the date. We'll be work. So the only consoling thing was that they decided to work with my friend, you understand? And I spoke to him about it. That was the only consoling thing. But it was painful. It was very, very painful. I don't remember the last time I felt like that. There have been issues or instances where, you know, you have to choose your integrity or the work. There was nothing that we could do because Texas was supposed to be in the morning. I couldn't fly first flight out of Abuja. I was going to miss my Texas. Texas reached out to me and they said, Mr. Henry, we think that we should take out your name. Just focus on the job. We really do understand. And I said, no, do not take out my name. I'm going to be there. This is how strong my faith is. Another opportunity is going to come. And if God wants to show off with you, it's those same people that will call you. And then this time they'll say, we're willing to work on your terms. Give us a date, give us a time, and we'll be there. That's just how life is sometimes.
This is such a powerful context. All right, there's still much more to come, but we have to take a break now. You have a chance to win a Sony Alpha 7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Bigh Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention the creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Bigh Productions. Don't miss it. Welcome back to the Camera Lounge Season 2, and I have been speaking with your favorite photographer in the city of Abuja to the world, Bigh.
another name calling that I do not deserve.
Okay, can you share with us some of those difficult moments in your career as a photographer that you felt even tempted to walk away?
There are a couple of them. I'll try and share one or two. I'm in my office. It's a very sad one, very, very sad one. And sometimes when I'm silent like this, I try to hold back tears. And I got a call from a doctor who was like a family doctor, not say a pastor. And he said, did your brother tell you? I said, tell me what? He didn't tell you the outcome of his last trip. I said, no, he didn't. He said, okay, your brother has cancer. That was it for me. I had no way to respond to that. You know, sometimes you hear these things, whether in movies or you see it happen to, no disrespect, but maybe you see it happen to older people. You just don't expect that something like that will happen to a young guy of 30. My brother was my backbone, supported me, encouraged me, and played a huge role in where Bigh is today, in terms of just helping me to see the bigger picture. You always need someone to drive you forward. He was that guy. I'm not missing him because of all the things that he did for my brand. He's my brother, he's my friend. And to have to deal with that news at that time was, and then we had to deal with how to tell my mom. And then we had to deal with the time period of having to fight the cancer. The times where you are praying and hoping and believing. The times where men of God are coming to tell you they saw a vision that he made it. So many things because you're gullible and vulnerable at the time. You know, having to also see him go through the pain and the times where he would depreciate. So it was bittersweet because he will be better. He will come down. Strong guy. Never believed anything like that would happen to him. He passed away eventually. And that was it. There was no desire to pick up my camera. There was no desire to do anything. You understand? Because I felt let down by God. We prayed. We cried. There's nothing we didn't do. We spent money. And it wasn't just anybody. It was Ugonna. It was the life of the party. It was the person who made so many people happy. Myself inclusive. The whole family, his friends. What I took out of the experience was, at his passing, I felt like I started to see him at a very different light. I've always known that he was awesome and amazing. But with so many things that people said about how he lived his life as a sacrifice, how he gave and never stopped giving. This is somebody who inspired me while he was alive, but I think he even inspired me more in death because I said to myself, I wanted my life to be like this. I wanted to give and not stop giving. I wanted to be more people-oriented. This was that I was practicing, but you know, I needed to be a lot more intentional about it. So there were times where, as a result of that, I wanted to give up. It happened for many years. I was just running it because, of course, you know, I needed to work at the end of the day. But I was losing the desire. It was painful. The people who were close to me could tell. And I'm grateful to God that, you know, after everything, God still came through. God will always come through for you through people, you know, sending the right people, people who would encourage you, people who would send in a word in time, people who would stand with you in prayer, family, do you understand? So I'm better today than I was at the time. And I think it's also still a work in progress because sometimes you think about it and you have to hold back tears. I literally had to because I don't want to cry in front of your camera. You know, I'm not sure that's the kind of content you signed up for. But it was a very, very trying time for myself and the family. Because, you know, sometimes I go through successful patches. He's the first person I want to call. And he's not there. You know how you start up something with somebody and you guys just, you were looking at the future and you said to yourself, by so time, you're going to be here together. You understand? We're going to do this and this. There were like a lot of plans. And there's so many things that are happening at the same time. And you want to go back to that guy. Do you understand? You want to go back to that guy and say, oh yeah, we made it. We've done this. Everything you predicted is coming to pass. Do you understand? And it's not there. So it is painful. I try to kind of lock up other emotions sometimes. But we're grateful to God because it would have been worse. People handle grief differently. We're grateful to God that even in pain, God continues to comfort, continues to give hope and strength. So we thank God. We thank God that what was meant to destroy us didn't destroy us. That's the way I look at it. And I think in this job you would go through different challenges, not just in photography, but I think in your career. There will be breaking points, melting points, boiling points. It's just how you choose to handle it that sets you apart. It's how you come out of it. You understand? I think the Bible says that if you fail in a time of adversity, then your strength is weak. I think in this case my strength is weak, but I've just trusted in God's strength. And I think it's God's strength that has pulled me through, pulled my family through, just pulled us through over the years, because it was a big loss for us. Very big one. Very big.
Big H, I must say that that was a very powerful moment that you shared with us. Not essentially with me, but with the entire world. That was just not inspirational, that's powerful, and that's healing. But to dovetail out of that now, you know, people talk about you have to build structures, and no doubt in your business you build structures. Not just around yourself, but around the business. Can you give us a sense of the machinery of discipline, focus, hard work, order that is built around your person and then the Big H Studios?
I think the biggest success you would ever have is the one that is built on people. Not on structures, on finances, or many different achievements. It's understanding the importance of people in the grand scheme of things. And over the years, I think that one of our biggest strengths is how we've been able to replicate ourselves in the people that we work with. Whether you want to call them interns or mentees or anything like that. It's the understanding that comes from knowing that we're not going to be here forever. You understand? The gift is not going to be yours to keep forever. It's been given to you so that you can bless people with it. And the first thing is identifying who those people are. You understand? Who are the people that you're going to run this race and this journey with? Who are the people that you're going to be able to impact in? Who are the people that would also carry on that torch? And to the special grace of God, we have people. And I think that is the strongest machinery of the Big H Studios brand. People who were there before today, people who are there today, and the people who would come and go. These are the people who I would say are the strongest machinery of the brand. I can't mention all their names, but you know, in the last 11 years, these people have also gone on to become big brands in the city of Abuja. And in recent times, we have people also from Lagos as well. One of my favorite quotes is that your dream isn't big enough until it makes other people to dream. And I think that one of the biggest things for us is that by God's special grace, we've been able to create other dreams, not just for ourselves, but for other people. So it's a thing of joy when I go to their studios and I see that they also have their own team. You understand? It just makes me happy. It makes me smile. One of the engine rooms is the Follow the Light class, which is primarily an academy to photography, but also beyond that, I think it's also to raise men and women in this field, to also point that photography is not just a skill or a talent, but it borders on having the right work ethic, the right character to do the job. And that's also what the Follow the Light brand stands for. And the Follow the Light brand is responsible for a lot of these things that you've mentioned.
Clearly, the tide is rising for photography and creativity in Nigeria. And this season's an opportunity for Africa, with the nucleus being Nigeria, to create an influence in the world. When you look at the landscape, photography, creativity in Nigeria, what do you see?
That's a good question and a tough one at the same time. I would say that the Nigerian creative industry has experienced a lot of growth in the last 10 years. Where we are today as a creative force isn't where we used to be 10 years ago. This is credit to every photographer, every makeup artist, every stylist, every decorator, everybody who has played their own role in contributing to the creative space in the last 10 years has done exceptionally well, because we now have Nigerian photography brands and Nigerian creatives that are representing the industry outside the country. You understand? Their names are there for people to see, and they're also doing exceptionally well. You understand? And I think if I am to look at the future based off of what has happened in the last 10 years, I would say that the future is a lot brighter. I think that 10 years ago, we didn't have that many students or secondary school or primary school students who wanted to study photography. Now we have people who their parents are supporting them. And I think it's because we've been able to have ambassadors in this field. George Okoro, Aisha Ogikuta, Bigh Pictures. Forgive me if I don't mention all the names, but those names are there, and their work is out there for people to see that they've lived their lives and they have a very, very good example. I say this because one of my youngest students ever was 12 years old, you understand? And then I also had a 9-year-old. And I know that when I was 9, my parents would have never allowed me to do photography. So the narrative is changing, where people are becoming more accepting of the work. And I think that they're becoming more accepting of the work because the disciples are doing well, so to say, and they're setting the right example for people to see. So now, every parent would want their son to be like George, would want their son to be like Uncle Kelechi Amadi or Auntie T.Y. You understand? And I think that the future is bright. I think that it's only going to get better. The numbers are there for people to see. But what I would say, beyond just saying that it is going to get better, is that the people who are coming up now should continue to remain original and authentic to their own creativity. Don't be like us. Don't do what we have done. Don't do what we are doing. Do you, be you, express your God-given talent. You understand? Because there is definitely something that the Gen Zs, so to say, have to offer. There is definitely something that the people that are coming up can do differently, especially now that there's this talk on AI and all of that. We really can't wait to see. I see what some young people are doing. I'm like, wow, I wasn't even doing that at their age. So it is bright. There are going to be challenges along the way, like there was for many of us that started. you understand? But if you stay true to yourself, you don't give up, you remain hardworking, trust God, and continue to push, you would carry this whole photography thing to the next level. We haven't even seen what we can become with this. We haven't scratched the surface. It's bigger. It's way bigger than what we're experiencing now.
So you realize that Nigeria is critical to so many things, not just in Africa, but across the world. But we are also a country that's been beset by lost opportunities, even when it's glaring that it's an opportunity to turn the tide. What must creatives ensure to do or avoid to ensure that that tide that is building, we either collectively or individually ensure that we must do to ensure that this rolls over?
The first thing that comes to mind is transition. And in transition, we must have mentors and mentees where we are transferring beyond us what we have learned, what we have become, so that there's a generation that carries it after we're no longer here. The second thing is that, just like as we've seen in the country with many things that are thriving, don't depend on the government. And this is not in any way to shade. The entertainment industry is thriving. There are no government policies governing them. They're just going ahead to do what they have to do. And they are some of the biggest exports of talent in this country. You understand? We can't wait or depend on the government in the creative industry. Of course, if we do have some sort of government support, it is going to be great. If the government started to give us grants so that photographers who don't have cameras can have cameras, or help them with, building studios and all of that. Yes, these things are good because invariably it would aid employment. Do you understand? But creatives should not wait for that opportunity. We are already doing that, you understand? And we should continue to do it and see how we can do it on a bigger platform. And if government support comes, why not? It only comes to contribute and not necessarily start something that wasn't there. So I would say have a mentor-mentee mindset so that there is transition of talent, gift, character, whatever it is, and then there are people who take over, and then we just have to collectively continue to do what we're already doing, collaborate and see how we can do it on a bigger platform, because people are watching, you understand? I never knew that when I started that a brand like Sony would reach out to me and say they want to work with me. It's just to put your head down and just keep working.
It's a fantastic thing that you mentioned Sony, because I mean that's the next port of call for us. But we'll be talking about Sony and his relationship with them right after the break. Don't go away.
You have a chance to win a Sony Alpha 7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Bigh Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention a creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Bigh Productions. Don't miss it.
Yes, I know some of you cannot wait for the break to be over because you want to hear the backstory about Big H's relationship with Sony Alpha Nigeria. So you can already see one other thing we're going to do on this segment is see what he carries in his power bag, but that will be in just a moment. All right, so how did the relationship with Sony Alpha Nigeria come about?
Okay, it's an interesting story. I remember once upon a time I would tell the story from a place of pain, not because I had any issues with Sony, but how it came about with the previous brand, so to say. But I don't speak from a place of pain anymore. I'm in such a beautiful relationship with Sony, so I feel like it's a brand that was just made for me, so to say. I got a call from Henry Oji. Henry Oji is a cinematographer, Sony ambassador, one person that I also respect a lot, and he said, would you consider working with Sony or trying out Sony gears? And at the time I had worked with a particular brand. When I say worked with their brand, I don't mean I didn't have any affiliation to them. I just owned their gears, you understand, for 9 years. You can't walk up to somebody who has worked it. It's just like, say, you've been married to one wife for 9 years. We want to give you another wife. You get, how do I want to migrate to a new system? You understand? But Sony didn't give up. And they also didn't force me. I remember having a Zoom call with Mr. Sham, one of their representatives from Singapore. And I prayed before that because I was confused. I was confused because while they were bringing an offer, the other brand was also bringing an offer.
Ah, maybe they got a word or something.
Yes, they did get word, and I'm just going to be very honest with you, because I was biased towards the other brand. I reached out to them to say, Guy, how far? You guys haven't sent in your offer. You've been on this for the last 2 years, and these guys have just called me, and they seem very serious. And they didn't even take that call seriously. So eventually they sent in their offer, and I got their offer before Sony even sent their offer. And let me also just make this clear, because too many times people feel Bigh is working with Sony because Sony offered him more money. Bigh is working with Sony because Sony valued him more. Sony showed me that they valued me and my work, and the way the other people handled everything, it was just kind of shabby. And I had seen their offer, and I said, unfortunately, I will not be working with you. And at the time I had declined their offer, I didn't get an offer from Sony. So that's the story that people don't know. Because it just looked like, okay, I had 2 offers, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be going with this one. That's not me. I said no to these guys without even knowing whether these people were going to send in an offer or not. You understand? And after speaking to Larry Oshaw, I spoke to Mr. Sham, and Mr. Sham said, what camera do you use? I mentioned it to him. He said, okay, I'm going to be sending you the Sony A7IV and a couple of lenses, and let's just see what you do with it. We want to be able to see the images you create with it, and we want you to write a review on the camera, and that's pretty much what it was about. So I took the camera, created some images with the camera, and sent them the images and did my review on the images. Of course, it was a struggle when I started because the colors were different from what I was used to. The ergonomics were also different, you understand? That over time, it's become a gear that has been built for me. You understand? We are now so in sync with this gear that the last time I heard the other gear, I was like, wait, what's this? What's happening? Do you understand? So after that conversation with Mr. Sham, they sent the camera and the lens. But I'll tell you something, I just want to say this in credit to Sony. I remember when I was speaking to the other people, I said, I want you to do for me what I can't do for myself. Sending me an offer letter telling me that you're going to give me the latest camera, by God's special grace, I can do that for myself. Do for me what I can't do for myself. And I was referring to providing cameras for my students because the Follow the Light class was about to start. And they just never took it seriously. It was one mail that we sent to Sony. I remember walking out that morning and I got a call directly from them. And they said, oh, we're so sorry. They were even apologizing. That's what I was saying about value.
Yeah.
Putting value on somebody. And I felt so appreciated with them. And they said, oh, we're sorry that we're just getting back to your mail. About your class, we're going to send 4 to 5 cameras. We're going to send several different lenses. I just wanted my students to have, you know, something
tools to work with,
especially usually there are like 1 or 2 or 3 people who do not have cameras who are just starting out. But I also wanted their first point of call to be Sony. Sony didn't check my bank statement to know if I can shorty the cameras. They didn't do any research on me or whatever it is. They just said, send your address. They sent in these cameras. See, my brother, it's not a joke. If there's any lady watching this video, if there are 2 people toasting you, you would always know the one that values you more than the other. My decision to work with Sony is just because Sony showed me a lot more value, and they still do. I think they even show me more value now than then, you understand? And it's just been great because with Sony being a big platform, I feel like we've been able to reach out to a wider audience of photographers, which is what it's always been about. Which is why I made that statement, do for me what I cannot do for myself. now I feel like we have the engine room to reach out to a broader spectrum of photographers in the country. Sony has been able to do free workshops, and we've been able to reach out to hundreds and hundreds of people in Lagos, in Abuja, and it's been an exciting journey in the last, what, 1 year plus, you understand? And I was so excited when they reached out to me to say, oh, we are among the select people who are going to be trying the A7IV, which nobody had seen, and then we were supposed to sign a non-disclosure. It was just such a thing of pride for me. My family was so happy, my team members, my students. I'm happy.
I saw that video. I was
happy.
It was lit. Wasn't it the one you shot in Lagos?
Yes, it was shot in Lagos.
That was absolutely stunning.
All
right. So, I know some of you want to see what he carries in his bag. So this is right about the time that we see what Big H carries, whether he's flying to Dubai or he's going to do a job in Abuja or Lagos. What do you got there?
About this, I'm predominantly a portrait, fine art, and a wedding photographer, and there are 3 major lenses that I carry in my bag. So when you open my bag, this is a camera strap.
Big is written on this.
Yes, it's a branded camera strap, and it was a gift from a very special person. His name is Onome. Apparently, he's camera joint. I cherish this a lot because it's now become a very big part of my brand. So usually when you see me at a wedding and you don't see this, the wedding has not started. Yes. So I'm just going to put this on the side. I will talk about lenses real quick, and I have 3 major lenses that I work with, predominantly 2.
Okay.
I'll talk about the 3rd one. But the 2 major lenses that I work with are the G Master 50mm 1.2 for portrait. I use this to shoot all my wedding portraits, all my fine art portraits, everything. Yes. And I would also work with the 24 Master 1.4. It's a wide angle. It's very good for storytelling when you want to take
24. So that's also a prime.
This is also a prime. Yes. Right. So it's good for storytelling when you want to shoot wider perspective. This is the lens to use.
Need a little bit more of the background.
A little bit more of the background. A little bit more of the depth in the image in terms of more in focus and all that stuff. This is my go-to. I don't tend to need anything wider than 24, but if I do, I also have the 1635 also from Sony that I can use for that. But I find that this is very, very good, and what I like about it is how portable and small it is. I remember shooting a wedding and recently actually, and the person said, Big H, where is that your big bulky camera? Because this one looks quite small in your hands. I'm like, that's the Sony way. We don't need any large camera to show anything. Everything is portable and working very, very fine. A 3rd and final lens that you would see in my bag, which I rarely use, but I always want to keep it handy, because I have this rule where take what you don't need so that when you get on set, you find that when you don't need it, it's okay. But it is better that you have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Thank you for helping. Thank you for helping me out. And that's the 85. Coincidentally, it was the very first lens that I got from Sony, and I used it for some of the portraits that I created for them. It's a beautiful, beautiful lens. And if you're looking for a G Master lens that is not as pricey as the 50, the 85 is great. And there are some times that
what is that?
This is f1.4.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am believing and hoping and praying that Sony is working on the 1.2. And please, Sony, if you do that, please hit me up because I'll get it. Yes, but there are times that you would not be allowed to go very close. Sometimes maybe political events or weddings. The 85 will come in very, very handy. There are also times that you feel like you need a particular type of bouquet, you understand, and you have that range. Then this is the lens to get. So these are the 3 lenses. So I'll talk about cameras. My go-to camera for my go-to camera for weddings is the A7R3. The A7R3 is a 42 or 44 megapixels camera. It has a dynamic range of about 14 to 15 stops. Color rendition is perfect. It's extremely fast. I think the word fast is synonymous to Sony, especially when you talk about focus. It's a very, very fast camera.
Yes, I've experienced that myself.
As a portrait photographer, I like the fact that it is 40-something megapixels. It gives me a lot of information to work with in post-production when I'm editing my images. This is my go-to camera. And once I put in a 256 gig memory card or a 512, I'm good for the whole wedding. I don't need to change anything. But the good thing about this is that it has 2 memory card slots. So I can put a 256 on one, and then I put a backup 128 on the other if I'm having too much fun at the wedding and shooting the after party. Then my go-to camera, another thing that you see in my bag is this beast here. Bukola from Sony may not be happy that I'm still using this, but I will still talk about it. But it's the A7R4. There's the A7R5. I haven't upgraded yet. Emphasis on yet. I'm working on it. But this is what I'm currently using. At the beginning of the year, we're going to have a meeting with Sony on what the plan is in terms of the content that we want to release for the rest of the year. And a lot of that content will be with the A7R5. So within the month or 2, I'll be changing this. But I would still like to keep it because I've become so used to this. So this is what I use for all my fine arts pictures as well as portraits that I shoot in the studio. Why? It's a 61 megapixels camera. When you have this, you don't necessarily need a medium format, you understand? The files are very, very large, especially when you want to print large format sizes. So for fine art, I print large format sizes, and I don't want to be able to see the images pixelated or anything like that. So this is my go-to. With 15 stops dynamic range, perfect for me. I can of shadows, highlights, and all that stuff. You guys, I don't want to bore you with the technicalities. Go and watch some of my
great
videos on Alpha Universe.
Thank you very much for sharing your box with us. But it's important that we see some of the beautiful pictures, amazing images that you've shot with these. Okay. So let's begin with this one, this first one.
Yes, so this one is an image of the Olu of Warri.
Yes,
I still haven't really shared that story, but I know that we don't have time, so maybe another series or episode that will share the story. But this image is the Olu of Warri. Is an image of the king before he was actually coronated as the king. We got wings and we put the wings around him. We didn't even know if we were allowed to. You understand? You know how it is with all these royalties. You have to take permission. And then there was backlights, and for some reason, because of the presence of smoke and everything, somewhere in post-production, everything just looked like fire. You understand? And just an epic picture. I loved every bit of it. That was shot with the A7R4. Another memorable picture I shot with the A7R3 for weddings is a beautiful moment of a mother and child on her wedding day. Muslim wedding, and Muslim prayers are usually short and not very, very long, but for this particular image, I said, "Mommy, I need you to pray for your daughter, and I want you to take your time." So pray for her, bless her, because I was hoping to get an emotion. And thank God that emotion came because the daughter started to cry. And then there was light behind to freeze the droplets of her tears. Such a beautiful picture. I had dreamed about this image for many years. So that day, everything just
came together,
fell in place. I remember posting the image on my story. About 13,500 people viewed it.
Wow.
And everybody was able to convey that emotion. Again, you need a camera that is fast to be able to do that. And you know, yes, that's one memorable image. The third one, I don't know. Third memorable image is the one that I'm going to shoot tomorrow.
Don't do that.
Yes, because I always get asked, what's your favorite image? I say it's the one I'm going to shoot tomorrow, because I am hoping that they will keep getting better.
I like that. I actually like that expression because it also gets you on the edge of creativity.
Yes, yes.
And it challenges you. At this moment, we just have to draw the curtain, painfully so. It's been such an amazing, impactful rewarding, revealing time with Big H. I don't know which one to say now. Big H, also known as Henry Oji, or the other way around. Thank you for what you have become. Thank you for what you represent in the industry. We only trust that it only continues to get better for you, for your brand, for your name, for your business. Thank you for honoring us on the Camera Lounge Season 2. It's been amazing having you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you to Camera Joint. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Onome. I think you have become, in the last 5 years, Mr. Onome has become the biggest influence in Nigerian photography.
Absolutely.
And he's done so well. Nobody now can tell their story
without him.
Camera Joint.
Absolutely.
May God continue to bless Camera Joint. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And this is where we draw the curtain on the Camera Lounge Season 2 with Big H. I'm Kayode Alayande. Bye now.
You have a chance to win a Sony Alpha 7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Bigh Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention the creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria and produced by Bigh Productions. Don't miss it.
Okay, and with my best friend, I'm sure you guys know already, my best friends are always the Sony cameras, and this is the A7R5, recently just dropped by Sony Alpha. It's a 60 megapixel camera, and you know my favorite thing about the Sony is the autofocus system. It has an improved autofocus recognition. You can actually save, you know, the subject's face on the camera, and then it follows through anywhere the subject goes through. Your focus is intact. You know, in terms of video, it has 8K at 24p and then it shoots 4K at 60p. The videos are amazing. I call it a hybrid master because you can actually use it for photography and video at the same time. It shoots 10-bit 422 video options and also includes S-Log 3 and Cinetone. It's a very easy way of shooting and getting your images ready for your client. And then in terms of raw files, because I know you're going to be saying it's a 60 megapixels, in terms of raw files, you can actually reduce it and have 26 megapixels and also have 15 megapixels. My best friend is the Sony A7R5. In terms of technology, it's a great camera. In terms of build quality, it's amazing. Ergonomics is amazing. The way, you know, the grip is, it's quite very sturdy and all. Sony camera is my best option. I don't know about you.